Good evening, everyone. This is Travis Mickle from CoCab, Watch Collectors of California and beyond, doing my first ever review of a watch. Tonight, we're going to be looking at the Neminus Master Diver 2.0, and this model is the red dial, called the Red Devil. This brand was founded in 2017 by Hock Guan Perry Core, who goes by Perry. It's a Singapore brand. They've had several previous watches and collections come out. The Spaceman Collection, Matador Bullhead Chronograph Collection, and the Master Diver 1000. This is a limited edition watch, limited to 99 pieces per color. It comes in red, yellow, and green. For those that are familiar with the first version, you'll find that this version is a little bit thinner, lighter, and according to Perry, more dynamic, more vibrant. And one of the things that I really like about it are the drilled lugs. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go over a few basic specs, and then we'll kind of dive into the watch and we'll see what you guys think. The height of this comes in at 16.8 millimeters. So you can kind of see a side view of it. The weight is 125 grams. Diameter is 44 millimeters, 48 with the crown. It's water resistant to 500 meters, which is about 1,640 feet. The parts come from Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong. It's assembled in Hong Kong, and there's a warranty on the movement for 2 years, with repairs handled directly from Perry. The bezel is really cool. It's a unidirectional rotating bezel with 120 very crisp clicks, and it aligns very well with the top of the indices here, as you can see. It's a bronze dodecagon or 12-sided shape. It has a really cool groove on the side too, just one of those little things that kind of sets it apart. You can kind of see that groove all the way around in the light. I really like that, and I like that groove, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but it goes with the groove on the case side as well. This is all CNC machined CUSN8 bronze. Good stuff there. And then, of course, the bezel insert is pretty cool. That is a round ceramic in the bronze casing. So the ceramic will be black for the Red Devil version and brown for the Yellow Monster and Green Goblin. Kind of a close-up there. You can see it fits in there perfectly. It's tapered also from the top of bezel down to the grooved side, which I really like. You can kind of see it coming down from the crystal down to that groove on the side of the bezel. It has engraved numbers from 5 to 55 all the way around it, and engraved indices for each minute between the 5, 10, and 15 for anyone that does actually go diving. And at the top, you have a protruding loomed nub. Kind of give you a side view so you can see it actually sticks out from the top of the bezel. And that's at the 12 o'clock spot within a loomed triangle. The buckle's pretty cool. It's signed on the back. Get you a close-up here where it says Neminus. And then on the front, we have a diving knife, which I think just adds a little bit of cool character with it. This is also CNC machined CUSN8 bronze. And one cool thing about this too is it's drilled for easy removal from the buckle from the strap. The case is all marine grade CUSN8 bronze. It's going to perform well against corrosion, though patina will develop over time. And I'll jump into this right now. The case sides were specially designed to actually enhance the patina developing. The grooves on the side there is believed will actually help the patina develop a little bit better over time, which I think is pretty cool. Case back is 316L surgical steel. A very cool display on the case back. I should clarify, it's not a display case back, but just the picture of the diving helmet is really cool. It's got an octagon shape on the case back, so that's kind of cool. It has a professional helium helmet design, and then you can see it's on top of a cool crisscross pattern. There we go. You can kind of see that in the light, which is nice. It has the saying on it, "Built for those who dare," which I love. And it's also signed the Neminus Master Diver. Looks like you open that with those two prongs right there. All right, moving back over to the other side again, we have the chapter ring. It's all around the exterior of the dial. And there's indices enumerated with 1 through 12. If you look real close, they're the black numbers on that white background. And that's all inside of a nice red outline circle, which I think is pretty cool. The crown we'll go to next is at the 3 o'clock position. Here we got a nice view of the logo, which is really cool. For those that care, the logo for Neminus is practically uniform as you rotate it. There are 2 little lines that you almost can't notice that keep it from being perfectly uniform, but it looks really great there on the crown. The screw-down crown takes approximately 3.5 full rotations, a little bit more than some. I'll kind of demonstrate. If you just do partial rotations, it takes about 5 or 6 before, there we go, it just popped out. So just to be aware of that, which I think is great. It feels nice and crisp and clean when you undo it or screw it back in. And when you do look at the crown, you'll see that there's nice grooves in it. There's 12 grooves. The crown is approximately 7.5 millimeters in diameter, and it's very easy to screw down, unscrew. It's got good grips on it. I really like it. The crystal is a 4 millimeter sapphire crystal. It has 5 layers of anti-reflective coating, which is good because in this room, I've got lots of overhead lights and you can see it doesn't have a lot of reflection going on. So out in the normal wear, I think this is going to look really, really good. Your date window is at 3 o'clock. You can see it fits perfectly into that window. So great alignment there. You have the date colors with a background of white with black numbers. And you'll see that the date window, as well as all the indices, have a little gold frame around them. Catch it in the light right there so you can really see it, which just gives it a little extra character, I think. All right, the dial is inspired by the ocean seabed. I think this is one of the best features of this entire watch. You can see the texture on it and how it captures the light. I just love it. I've not seen the yellow and green in person, but looking at pictures, they do something similar. So I think this is just amazing. It's signed with Neminus centered at the top. And you can see, when we catch the light, it catches the light well. So it looks really good. And it has the words automatic. The color, in this case, is Red Devil. And the depth rating centered on the bottom. You can see, again, the texturing is meant to project different shades as the sun reflects off of it. And they call that a cracked background dial, which is really cool. The hands I'm especially fond of. The minute hand is a wide, polished, looks like brass with 3 distinct lines of loom. And they all culminate in a pointing triangle at the very end. And all the loom is framed by the brass, which is really, really cool. Moving to the hour hand, it's another wide polished brass hand with 3 distinct lines of loom, and it also culminates in a pointing triangle framed by the brass. And then we get to the seconds hand, which is my personal favorite. It has a trident there on the back of it, which is really cool. It's a very thin hand. It's white. And it culminates at the end with a loomed triangle on the end, but then that extends into a bright red tip that goes clear out to the chapter ring. And you can see as it goes around, you can get a great idea of exactly where you are on the minute or the hour. Well, I guess the minute, sorry. It has a helium escape valve. It's at the 9 o'clock spot. It's basically concealed is what they say, but it's kind of inset. So if you look from the top, you don't see it at all. And it's nicely polished, and I think actually adds to the look of the watch. The indices are all numbers with miniature double indice at 3 o'clock. So you see the miniature one there at 3 o'clock. All the others are full-sized. And you've got the double indice at 6, 9, and 12. Each of those are also gold framed. I think I'm showing it there in the video, so you can see that. The lugs are awesome. They are drilled, which, as you know, makes it much easier for changing straps. So I'm a big fan of that. The lug width is 22 millimeters. So that will fit a lot of your straps if you want to trade them out. And lug to lug is almost 52 millimeters. So just so you're aware of that, which works perfect for me. I love that size. The loom, moving on to that, is a bluish BGW9 Swiss Super Luminova. It's all a single color. I'm going to try to catch it a little bit here with a blue light flashlight. You can kind of see where it shows up. The bezel is also loomed, so that's really nice. It looks great, honestly. Let's see, it's applied to the indices, the chapter ring, all 3 hands, just the tip of the second hand though, and the bezel numbers from 5 to 5. And then of course the loomed 12 o'clock pip and upside down triangle. And then the minute gradient lines between the 1 and 15. So lots of loom on it. The movement is the workhorse, the Seiko NH35A. So we're all fairly familiar with that. That is a great, reliable movement, again, guaranteed for 2 years. It's 24 joules, 41-hour reserve, 21,600 vibrations per second, has hacking, and of course it is automatic, but it can be hand wound, shock absorber, and anti-magnetic. So that's the heart of the whole watch. Packaging, it comes in a signed Neminus 6-watch box. I will say, as I opened this, you might see here, one of them pulled out of the leather. So just so you're aware of that. Really nice looking box. And then it also comes, that is inside of just a cardboard box with the logo on it, which is great. Next we'll move to the strap. I really like this strap. It's a little bit unique in that it's a Kevlar on the front, which is really nice texture and just a feel to it. And then of course leather on the back. And the leather color will match the dial color as well as the stitching on each of the watches. The strap is signed Neminus on the short side. See it there, it's upside down. Here we go. And it's signed Master Diver on the long side of the strap. There are 10 punched holes, with the last hole being almost unusable due to the strap not really fitting in if you were to try to put it into that last hole. I have a 8¼ inch wrist. This is a little tight on me. It is a 125/75, I believe. So just so you know, you probably know your measurements. That's what this strap is. There are 2 keepers, one black, one red. I moved the red one closer because with my wrist size, it would keep the little bit of strap I had left from popping out. So that worked out really well. So my experiences, winding, very smooth, proper amount of tension, works out really well. Setting the time is very smooth. I will say there's one thing I'll point out to you, no big deal, but there's about a 1/12 of a degree or 1/12 of a rotation of give before the hands start moving. So just so you're aware of that, nothing bad, but just thought I'd point it out. Setting the date is very smooth. It easily clicks into the proper slot to set the date, and the date is well centered in the window. Turning the bezel is very crisp, clean distinction at each click. Does not go clockwise at all. Very little play, well, no play. It does not go backwards at all. It's really nice there. And the screw down crown, again, I mentioned before, you do have to screw it several times, which is probably a good thing. And I really like that. One thing I will mention is when you are screwing down the crown with the grooved side, your fingernail will sometimes catch on that groove side. So no big deal, but just thought I'd point that out. All right, so what could be improved? Honestly, there's not a lot. I will say this, it doesn't sit on the perfect spot on my wrist after time, probably due to my large wrists and in the strap not being quite long enough, but it will tend to slide over to about this position. So I have to adjust it some through the day. Again, not a big deal, but wanted to point it out so everyone knows. The other thing is obviously the snap on that travel box. I did point that out as well. If I get to be really nitpicky, the give on the buckle is a little bit more, oops, put it where you can see it, than I would like to see. So you can see that. No big deal, but just thought I'd point it out. Strap is a little bit short for my wrist, but for most, I think it'll fit perfect. The bezel also is not completely true. It aligns perfectly with the indices, but if I can show this, if you look down and you look at the ridge here and the ridge there, they're not the same distance from the lugs. So just a little bit of an alignment issue there, no big deal. And honestly, I wore it for a week before I even noticed, but just thought I would point that out. And then the final thing is some of the chapter ring indices do not line up perfectly with the numbers. They are barely off, but for those that are very particular, I thought I would mention that. What makes it unique? The dial. I love the dial. I have several hundred watches, and I don't have one with another dial like this. It is just absolutely fantastic. The Trident hand, that's also very unique. Just absolutely love it. As you know, once you've collected watches for a while, you kind of look for those things that maybe make the next watch a little bit different. And this one really, I think, clicks off a few boxes, at least for me. So the other thing is that groove side case. Not a huge deal, but a nice little design element that is not that common. Also the Kevlar strap. I don't have hardly any Kevlar straps, and so that was a really cool addition to my collection. Obviously the case back, the design, that's pretty cool. And then the grooved bezel. Again, I thought that was pretty cool with the line that you can see that goes throughout the whole bezel. So a number of things on this watch that I think make it unique that I think you'll probably really like. What I love about it, pretty much everything else except for the very few things that I pointed out. I love the case design. I love the dial. I love the crown. I just love this watch. It is already one of my favorites. Value, right now, this is half off with a pre-order price of $399, which I think is just a great value for the money. I'll have a link in the comments, so if you want to go check it out that you can. But for me, this watch is definitely worth the money that Perry is asking. So that's about it. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please put your comments below. This is my first one, so I certainly would love to get better as I do these. If there's something I did not cover that you'd like to see, please let me know. And with that, I will say happy collecting and have a fantastic evening. Thanks so much. Bye.